All right, good afternoon, everybody. The time right now is 12:12, and we have an alert this afternoon just because we're picking up a little bit of snowfall, and that could lead to a few slippery spots this afternoon, so just keep that in mind. Of course, the storm that we're talking about for the middle of the week is a totally different beast here. So this is what we know as of now. It is going to be a significant coastal storm. That pretty much seems like a given here. We're talking about it being all snow for us here in Western Mass. We're not talking about any rain or sleet or freezing rain. It's all snow. It's that light, fluffy snow. Now, keep in mind that light, fluffy snow has a tendency to pile up quickly. So when it starts to come down, it doesn't take any time before it starts accumulating. And it looks like it would be Wednesday night into Thursday, meaning Wednesday itself is going to be dry. We're not concerned about the daylight hours of Wednesday. It's about 7 or 8 o'clock Wednesday evening through midnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That's when it would start with the peak of the storm into Thursday morning. Major amounts with those snow bands set up. The big question is, do we get involved in those heavy snow bands? So, of course, that would determine the amount. So the amounts are still very much up in the air. That comes down to the exact track. And right now, I would favor the heaviest snow lining up perhaps just to our south. And how much dry air gets involved to our north? If we pull in dry air, then our snow totals would be lower. But it's looking as if we would have at least several inches of snow, at least plowable amounts. And if we set up with those bands right over us, then we're talking about major snowfall amounts with 1 to 2 inches of snow per hour. Again, it's all going to come down to the track and where the snow lines up. This is our futurecast. Jumping ahead to Wednesday afternoon. Notice how we're still dry Wednesday. That's why we're not concerned about any snow during the daylight hours. High pressure will be to our north. That's going to supply the cold air, developing low pressure to our south. If it takes this northern track, one of our more reliable models says, you know what? That's exactly what's going to happen, and we're going to get a major snowstorm here in Western Mass. Another one of our more reliable models says, you know what? It's going to be suppressed to the south, and we'll get lighter amounts here in Western Mass. So that's what it all comes down to. So the greatest chance right now of seeing over 10 inches of snow would be from Hartford to Providence and Point South. We have about a moderate chance of that happening and a lower risk across parts of Franklin County. So the areas that get whacked good, we're talking about over a foot of snowfall. So obviously the stakes are high with this storm system. With a lot of cold air to the north, sometimes that gradient can be really tight. We end up with tons of snow to the south and less snow to the north. And that's what we'll be fine-tuning as we draw closer to it. Our storm system is still out across the Rocky Mountain states. There's not much to it. It's just some energy that's going to come out of the mountain states, slide to the Gulf Coast, pick up some moisture, then it's going to redevelop off the Carolina shoreline, and then from there it'll make its way up the eastern seaboard. Notice this blue now. This extends meaning the snowfall, meaning New York City, Philadelphia, the nation's capital, northwest suburbs of those cities could all pick up substantial snowfall here, and we'll be on the northern edge of it. So it all comes down to how far north those snow bands set up. For us today, it's a smaller, weaker storm, but still dealing with some snow. 33 right now. You know, yesterday we got up to 58 degrees. We missed a record high by 1 degree yesterday, so obviously much colder out there now. For the most part, it's been that wet snow. It's having a difficult time sticking on main roadways, but watch out for some slippery spots this afternoon, particularly once the sun starts to go down. We lose a little bit of that radiation coming through the clouds, and temperatures fall below freezing. That could lead to a little bit of black ice. In the meantime, we have that wet snow that's coming down right now, generally on the light side. It will taper off after about 3 or 4 o'clock. A coating, I think, in Springfield for the most part. Some of our hill towns, maybe a place like Munson, could end up with about an inch, primarily on grassy surfaces, 1 to 2. We get into those higher elevated areas, and then a little bit of black ice perhaps after that. In terms of our forecast coming in for tonight, clearing skies, cold tonight into tomorrow. That cold air is firmly entrenched. Sunshine tomorrow, highs in the lower 30s, but with the breeze, it's going to make it feel even colder. Look at that low by Wednesday morning, perhaps down to about 10 degrees, a high of about 30 in the afternoon. The snow will arrive after dark, probably between about 7 p.m. and midnight. And then the big question is, do we get some snow? Or do we get some snow in terms of major amounts? That's what we'll be fine-tuning. Either way, Thursday morning's commute is going to be treacherous. It'll probably end around lunchtime and then drying out in the afternoon. The breeze picks up and cold, dry air to follow. All right, we'll have another update coming up in a little while. Taylor, over to you.
All right, I'm feeling a cough. Come on, you can fill in for me on the morning show. Thank you, Dan. Now at noon, there is some concern, this after a large-scale hack of the U.S. Treasury and also Commerce departments. U.S. officials claiming Russian government hackers were behind this. Our Western Mass News correspondent Alex Brachet has the latest for us from Washington.